Have you ever felt like you're battling life's storms, unsure of how to find peace amidst the chaos? Stress, anxiety, external pressures, these can consume us and throw us off balance. But what if I told you that true strength lies not in what happens around you, but in what happens within you? Imagine living each day with an unbreakable mind, capable of facing any challenge with serenity and confidence. In today's video, we'll explore the secrets of Stoic philosophy and how it can transform the way you handle stress and adversity. Are you ready to discover the power of your mind? Leave in the comments, what challenge are you facing, and how do you think Stoic philosophy can help you overcome it? Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more teachings that will transform your life. Now let's begin our journey toward true inner peace. In life, challenges arise like unexpected storms, sweeping everything in their path. Many find themselves overwhelmed by anxiety, fear of what's to come, and lose their calm. But what if you could face these adversities with serenity, like an unshakable rock by the sea? Stoic philosophy teaches us that true strength doesn't lie in controlling the external world, but in mastering our own mind. Imagine being able to look at a difficult situation without being consumed by anger or panic, remaining calm, balanced, and steadfast. It's possible to cultivate this skill. The secret lies not in controlling what happens, but in how you choose to react to it. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic masters, said, "It's not what happens, but how we react to it that determines our peace of mind." When difficulties arise, you might find yourself caught in an internal struggle, trying to control something beyond your power, or you can choose to view the situation objectively without being swept away by emotions. True serenity comes from understanding that difficulties are not enemies, but opportunities to grow and strengthen. With every challenge we face, there's a lesson that transforms us. The Stoic mind teaches us that emotional control keeps us steady, while a lack of control makes us lose the battle before it even begins. But how do we apply this in practice? Imagine you're facing a financial problem, a conflict at work, or a personal disappointment. Instead of becoming distressed, you choose to take a deep breath and see the situation for what it is. There's no denial or escape, but a calm acceptance of reality. You observe without getting emotionally entangled, without letting negative emotions cloud your judgment. Serenity comes from focusing on how you respond, not on how the world around you reacts. And so, challenge by challenge, you build your inner strength, an unbreakable force capable of withstanding life's storms with the tranquility of a Stoic sage. Life, with its twists and turns, often challenges us to be stronger than we believe we can be. It's in these moments that the Stoic mindset shines, teaching us to face adversities head-on with courage and resilience. It's not about expecting life to spare us obstacles, but about how we handle those obstacles when they arise. A Stoic understands that suffering is part of the process, but our response to it is what truly shapes our destiny. The philosopher Epictetus, in his Reflections, reminds us that it's not things that disturb us, but our opinion of them. This powerful teaching shows us that adversity is not something to fear or avoid, but something to embrace as an opportunity for growth. When we face challenges with a Stoic mindset, we don't see ourselves as victims of circumstances, but as masters of our own reactions. Stoic courage isn't the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it, to remain steadfast even when the ground seems to shake beneath our feet. Resilience, for a Stoic, isn't just about bouncing back, but about transforming pain and challenges into strength. Imagine losing your job or going through a relationship crisis. The immediate response for many would be despair or frustration. But the Stoic mindset suggests a different approach. Ask what you can learn from the situation. How can it strengthen your soul? How can it help you grow and become more resilient? The secret lies in not fighting adversity, but using it as a springboard to fortify your spirit. If you look at the great heroes of history, You'll see they weren't free from difficulties, but they possessed a mindset that allowed them to rise above suffering. This is the great lesson of Stoicism. Adversity, rather than something to fear, is fertile ground for cultivating the qualities that make a human truly strong. True courage lies in knowing you can't control everything, but you can control how you react to what happens. In a world where we're constantly bombarded by desires, expectations, and external pressures, Stoicism offers a key to true freedom: detachment. This isn't about renouncing all material or emotional things, but understanding that true strength doesn't come from possessions or the approval of others, but from control over what truly matters: our own attitudes, thoughts, and emotions. When we detach from the external, we find an inexhaustible source of inner strength, one that remains unshaken no matter the circumstances. Stoic philosophy teaches us that our peace of mind is constantly threatened by our dependence on the external world. We seek recognition, comfort, success, and often these things define our well-being. However, by clinging to these expectations, we open the door to frustration and pain. Detachment, then, is not an escape from the world, but a return to our essence, to our inner strength. A Stoic understands that true happiness doesn't come from conquering or possessing, but from knowing that, no matter what happens, inner peace cannot be taken from us. Seneca wrote, "Happiness is not something you gain, but something you discover within yourself." This principle is profoundly liberating. By cultivating detachment, you begin to realize that happiness doesn't lie in acquiring more things, but in being more complete with what you already have. Detachment is the ability to not get lost in things, people, or situations, but to remain centered no matter what the world around you does. This doesn't mean becoming insensitive or indifferent, but finding true freedom in not allowing external factors to determine your state of mind. How can we apply this principle in daily life? The practice of detachment starts with small steps. When facing a difficulty, ask yourself, is this something within my control, or am I letting myself be dominated by something I can't change? When you detach from the need to control everything, you begin to see that true strength lies in choosing where to invest your energy. Instead of being consumed by what you can't control, you invest in what truly matters: your self-mastery, your inner growth, and your peace of mind. This is the path to the personal freedom that Stoicism offers us. In a world where we're constantly challenged by emotions, Stoicism provides a powerful tool: reason. Instead of being dominated by feelings of anger, frustration, or sadness, Stoic philosophy teaches us to observe these emotions rationally, to understand their origin, and then transform them into strengths that propel us forward. The Stoic mind doesn't reject emotions but sees them as part of the human experience that, when understood and controlled, can become a powerful ally. Imagine you've just received negative feedback at work or encountered a situation that left you frustrated. The immediate reaction might be anger or disappointment, right? But Stoicism proposes a pause for reflection. Instead of being consumed by the emotion, a Stoic would ask, why am I feeling this? What can I learn from it? Is this emotion helping or hindering me? The secret lies in giving space to reason before giving in to an instinctive reaction. Through this reflection, you can distance yourself from the emotion and use it constructively, whether to improve your behavior, your worldview, or to grow as a person. This transformation process doesn't happen overnight. It's a daily practice. In moments of irritation, sadness, or anxiety, remember that you have the power to choose how to react. Stoic reason suggests asking yourself, is this event within my control? If not, why should I worry about it? How can I respond in a way that helps me grow and become stronger? When you start replacing impulsive reactions with deep reflection, you create a new relationship with your emotions. Instead of feeling powerless before them, you become capable of using them as fuel for positive action and self-knowledge. In practice, the process begins with acceptance. Negative emotions aren't the enemy, but an invitation to reflection. By looking at them through the lens of reason, you disarm their destructive power and transform them into a creative force. Seneca reminds us again, it's not the events, but our reaction to them that determines our well-being. By mastering the art of using reason to transform emotions, you become capable of living with more clarity, focus, and above all, inner strength. Building an unbreakable mind doesn't happen by chance or through a single great effort. It's the result of daily practices, small habits that over time shape our mindset and strengthen us against life's challenges. In Stoicism, mental discipline is seen as the key to freedom and inner peace. So, how can we incorporate Stoic wisdom into our daily routines? The answer lies in the small, everyday actions that help us cultivate emotional control, resilience, and mental focus. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is daily reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to review your actions and thoughts. What did you do well? What could you have done differently? What did you learn from the situations you faced? Reflection allows you to acknowledge your shortcomings without self-blame and celebrate your victories, no matter how small. Moreover, by reflecting on the day's challenges, you begin to understand how your emotions influence your decisions and start shaping your mind to respond more calmly and rationally in the future. Another fundamental practice is the meditation on death, or memento mori. Stoicism constantly reminds us that life is finite and time is our most precious resource. Meditating on death isn't an invitation to pessimism, but a reminder that what truly matters is living with purpose. This helps put things into perspective. When we think about our mortality, many of our daily worries become trivial. Losses, failures, criticisms, all the things that rob us of peace lose their intensity when we understand that every moment is a unique opportunity. This helps us develop serenity in the face of what we can't control and motivates us to live fully. Additionally, the practice of visualizing worst-case scenarios, known as premeditatio malorum, is a powerful Stoic tool. By imagining the worst challenges that could arise, you not only prepare yourself mentally to deal with them, but also learn not to fear adversity. This practice allows you to develop a strong mindset as you realize nothing is insurmountable. And when something negative does happen, you're already emotionally prepared to handle it more calmly and rationally. Instead of being caught off guard, you have the ability to act with clarity and intention. Life, no matter how much we try to control it, is full of uncertainties. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations we simply cannot change, no matter how hard we try. Stoicism, however, offers a liberating perspective on this, accepting the uncontrollable. By accepting that we can't control everything around us, we free up our energy to focus on the one thing we truly have power over, our own reaction. True freedom doesn't come from constantly trying to control the uncontrollable, but from the ability to adapt and thrive within that reality. Epictetus, with his unparalleled wisdom, teaches us, it's not the events that disturb us, but our opinion of them. This teaching is profound, yet simple. If what happens outside of us is beyond our control, why let it determine our well-being? By accepting adversities as part of life, we can begin to see these difficulties in a new light, as opportunities for learning and growth. When a challenge arises, the first step isn't to resist, but to pause and reflect on what this experience has to teach us. A Stoic doesn't rebel against what cannot be changed. They see with clarity that everything that comes their way is an invitation to strengthen their mind and spirit. This practice of active acceptance teaches us to flow with life rather than fight against it. Imagine you're surprised by a loss, a failure, or a disappointment. The instinctive response might be to resist, feel anger, sadness, or fear. However, by applying Stoic teachings, you allow yourself to accept the situation, not because you like it, but because you understand that resisting only creates unnecessary suffering. By opening yourself to the experience, even if painful, you begin to discover how it can enrich your journey. Every challenge that comes your way is an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more capable. This acceptance, however, shouldn't be confused with passivity. Accepting what's uncontrollable doesn't mean giving up or not trying to improve what's within your reach. It means acting more consciously, more aligned with reality, without the emotional burden that often distorts our perceptions. When you accept what you cannot change, you can act with more clarity, focus, and above all, wisdom. And it's in this wisdom that true strength lies. The ability to transform what seems like an obstacle into a springboard for personal and emotional growth. In the battle of life, the greatest victories aren't those won through brute force or luck, but through the strength of the mind. Stoicism teaches us that true control doesn't lie in external circumstances, but in how we react to them. One of the greatest lessons of Stoic philosophy is that life can be challenging, unpredictable, and even unfair. But the way we choose to handle these experiences determines our success, happiness, and progress. And this control often comes through mastering our emotions. Imagine an athlete facing a major challenge, like a decisive final or a high-pressure moment. Many would be on the verge of an emotional breakdown, letting anxiety and fear take over. But a Stoic, in the same scenario, isn't consumed by these feelings. They stay calm, focus on what they can control, and fully commit to the present action. Emotional control, therefore, is the ability to not be swayed by life's ups and downs, but to maintain an inner stability that allows us to act with clarity, even amidst chaos. This is one of the keys to winning in life. Not being a slave to your own feelings, but using them as a guide for wiser, more balanced actions. Emotional control doesn't mean suppressing emotions or living in a constant state of indifference. Instead, it's about learning to observe emotions without being dominated by them. When you feel anger, frustration, or fear, what does a Stoic do? They allow themselves to feel these emotions but also question them. They don't let a fleeting emotion dictate their actions. By stepping back from an immediate, impulsive reaction, they gain the power to choose how to respond. This practice of becoming aware of your emotions and acting from a place of reason and self-control is what leads to success. Because by mastering your emotions, you become truly invincible in the face of life's challenges. In practice, emotional control is cultivated daily. A good exercise is to pause and take a deep breath before making any impulsive decision. Ask yourself, is this emotion I'm feeling helping or hindering me? When you take this pause, you start creating space between the stimulus and the response. And it's in this space that your true freedom lies, the freedom to choose your reaction and, consequently, your destiny. By mastering your emotions, you begin to master your life. In moments of crisis, when the world seems to collapse around us, many feel shaken, losing their direction and peace. But for a Stoic, true resilience isn't about avoiding challenges but remaining steadfast even when everything seems to fall apart. Stoic resilience is the art of maintaining calm, clarity, and dignity even in the most adverse situations. Because strength doesn't come from the absence of difficulties, but from how we choose to face them. For a Stoic, external storms aren't an end but an opportunity to demonstrate the inner strength we all possess. The philosopher Seneca once said, "It's not the situation that disturbs us, but our reaction to it." This is especially true when we face major crises. When life throws us into the depths, many may feel powerless, as if the weight of the world is on their shoulders. However, Stoics teach us that even in the most extreme situations, the only thing we truly control is our response. They believe that true strength of character is revealed in moments of adversity, when we choose not to succumb to despair, but to rise and move forward with serenity and dignity. How do you stay steadfast when everything around you seems to crumble? The practice of resilience begins with the realization that life is impermanent and full of challenges. The more you try to avoid difficulties, the more they become something to fear. But by accepting them as a natural part of the human experience, you begin to develop a stronger stance. Stoics suggest that true resilience isn't a fight against what happens, but a serene adaptation to what cannot be changed. When you adopt this mindset, you realize that adversity isn't the end of the road, but a vital step in your personal growth process. Practicing Stoic resilience also means learning to handle emotional pain without getting lost in it. Instead of identifying with suffering, you learn to observe it without letting it define who you are. Suffering is a fleeting experience, but our response to it can shape our identity and character. By practicing daily resilience, you build a mindset strong enough to withstand the fiercest winds, knowing that, in the end, the storm will pass, and you'll be stronger for it. Amid the chaos of everyday life, with its pressures, noise, and distractions, Stoicism offers an essential tool: inner silence. This silence isn't just the absence of sound, but a profound state of peace and clarity, where we can hear the voice of reason and access our true strength. In moments of crisis, when emotions and external noise try to consume us, it's in inner silence that we find true fortitude. It allows us to return to the center of our mind, disconnect from external storms, and respond with wisdom. Stoics understand that internal storms, fears, anxieties, worries, are often more destructive than any external difficulty. When our mind is in disharmony, everything around us becomes harder to handle. But when we find inner silence, we become immune to the chaos around us. This doesn't mean difficulties disappear, but by accessing the silence within, we can look at them with clarity and calm, without being swept away by the waves of emotion. Like a sailor who stays calm in the midst of a storm, we can learn to navigate life's difficulties with serenity. How do we cultivate this inner silence? One powerful Stoic practice is daily meditation. By taking a moment each day to sit in silence and focus on your breath, you begin to calm the mind. Over time, this silence extends beyond the moment of meditation and starts to permeate your daily life. When you find silence within yourself, you can observe your thoughts without identifying with them. Instead of being dominated by a negative thought, you see it from a distance, like a passing cloud in the sky. This practice teaches us that in the midst of a storm, we can always return to our center, to inner silence, where true strength resides. The power of inner silence goes beyond simply calming the mind. It allows us to hear our deepest voice, the one connected to reason and wisdom. When guided by this voice, our responses to difficulties become more thoughtful, conscious, and effective. Instead of reacting impulsively, we act in alignment with our values and what we know to be right. Stoicism teaches us that by accessing the silence within, we find an unbreakable strength capable of keeping us steady in any circumstance. Stress and anxiety are unwanted companions in modern life. The constant pressure for results, the pursuit of validation, and the fear of the future consume us mentally and emotionally. However, Stoic philosophy offers a powerful antidote to these ills: inner peace. Instead of getting lost in the frantic race to control everything, Stoicism teaches us to find tranquility within ourselves, regardless of external circumstances. This peace isn't the absence of challenges, but the ability to remain balanced, even in their presence. The Stoic practice begins with a deep understanding that stress and anxiety arise from our resistance to what we cannot control. The expectation that everything must go as planned, or the fear of what's to come, creates inner turmoil. However, by adopting the Stoic wisdom of accepting what's uncontrollable and focusing on what we can control, our response to it all, we begin to ease the burden of anxiety. Inner peace isn't achieved by eliminating stress, but by changing our perspective on it. By accepting that some things are beyond our reach, we free up space for what truly matters: our ability to act with serenity. One of the fundamental practices for achieving this peace is detachment. Stoicism teaches us not to cling excessively to external things, money, success, the approval of others. When we detach from the outcome, we free ourselves from the fear and anxiety it generates. This doesn't mean abandoning our goals or aspirations, but learning to focus on the process rather than the end result. Like a river that flows without worrying about the rocks in its path, we can move through life with more lightness, accepting the natural flow of things. When we change our attitude toward what we cannot control, anxiety diminishes and inner peace begins to flourish. Additionally, Stoics recommend the practice of daily reflection as a way to reduce anxiety. At the end of the day, pausing to reflect on what happened, what was done well, and what could have been better helps us put things into perspective. This allows us to let go of unnecessary worries, which often arise simply because we don't stop to reflect on what truly matters. The simple act of questioning our thoughts and distancing ourselves from automatic concerns helps us develop a calmer, more balanced mind, capable of facing any challenge without being dominated by stress or anxiety. Now that you've learned the powerful teachings of Stoicism, it's time to put them into practice. Remember, true strength lies in your mind and the control you have over your emotions. Stress and anxiety don't need to dominate your life. You have the power to transform any challenge into an opportunity for growth. So, starting today, what will you do to strengthen your mind and cultivate inner peace? Which Stoic practices will you adopt to face difficulties with serenity and courage? Write your answer in the comments and share how the teachings from this video can impact your life. If you haven't subscribed yet, take this opportunity to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to receive more content that will help you build an unbreakable mindset. And don't forget, the first pinned comment has a link to an ebook that will complement your daily journey toward self-mastery. Let's continue together on this path toward true mental freedom. Until the next video.